Progressive is America's #1 motorcycle insurer, so we understand motorcycles. No, really, we have a bike translator.
Okay, so this bike feels like he's capable of a little more than just trips to the convenience store. Oh, also, he wants to let you know that you can buy a gallon of ice cream instead of a pint every time. Those are his words. So he said roughly like, blink the last wheel. It doesn't really translate, but the way he said it was super funny.
Get 24/7 roadside assistance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Roadside assistance subject to policy terms and limits and may require comprehensive coverage.
Coming to you live, I am Doug.
I am Greg.
And this is Mike.
And this is the It's Funny That Makes It Okay podcast. Wow, 18th of July, or somewhere about there. Toward the end of July, let's just say
Towards the end, just past the middle.
Summer is quickly fleeing.
Or we could
Fleeting.
be pre-August.
Fleeing or
We're
fleeting?
pre-August.
Pre-August.
Pre-August. the tailgate for August.
Yes.
We're in the tailgate
Yes.
for August.
Yes.
All right, so we have a big show tonight. Big show. We're going to talk about grammar. I did horrible in school with grammar.
I did as well.
Yeah, I was awful at it. I wasn't great at anything, but I was really bad at grammar. And then I think we got some car topics. We got a bunch of different things. We're just going to talk about cars. We haven't done that in a while.
No.
And then I got a story about
A man named Brady?
one of our favorites towards the end. We'll wrap things up.
I haven't looked at that yet. Should I look at it before? Or is it?
We'll surprise you.
Yeah. All right, well, good.
So I got one thing in the intro. I don't know if you guys have anything else, Greg. You have
I
anything?
don't this
You
week.
don't
No
have nothing?
gripes.
I
Can you
cannot
believe it?
that.
No theology to throw at you. No.
Did you not go with your imaginary friend to McDonald's?
We did go.
Nothing even from that. That is amazing.
I got
This
nothing.
might be a first.
I know. I'm a little upset about it.
Well, I can pick up your slack, Greg.
All right, Mike, fire
Want me
away.
to go first?
Sure.
Okay. Well, we've talked in the past. We had seen people soliciting Venmo, right, for little to nothing, for accomplishing little to nothing. Right?
Yes.
Not providing a service or selling anything.
Just wanting money.
Just wanting money, for like a bridesmaid's party or a bachelorette party or whatever, for a trip, or I'm turning 21.
Yeah.
Finance my drinks.
Yeah, Venmo me some money or some drinks.
Well, we had seen them, I think, on cars.
High-tech panhandling.
Basically.
It is.
They're just begging. High-tech begging is what
Yeah.
it is.
I'm going to drive it around in my car saying, I'm homeless. Send me money.
I'm just going to say just Venmo me. Venmo me.
Yeah. I mean, it's all for, nothing. It's just for drinks or parties or whatever. So we had seen them, like, with the paint on the cars, turning 21, Venmo, and then it'll say at whatever the Venmo
Oh, like
name
the
is.
windshield paint or the
Yep.
glass paint that you can mark up somebody's glass. Okay,
Yep.
I gotcha.
Well, I've got a new form, even easier now, to Venmo people or to beg for Venmo donations. You can just put a QR code on a Facebook post.
Nice.
You don't even have to drive around your car.
I don't know. I still don't understand how that works because you can't
You would
scan
use your,
the QR code
you'd use your phone.
with your phone if it's on Facebook. I have to bring up Facebook on my computer and then use the QR code on it.
Well, that I don't know.
Well, no, you can, at least on my phone, you can take a QR code. Like if I open up my QR code reader, it'll open up the camera, or I can pick a picture.
Oh.
And then from that picture.
Picture of a barcode.
See, I don't even
Yeah.
have Venmo. I think I'm going to say over 45. I would say most people over 45 don't have. Not all. I'd say the majority. I won't even say most. But I'm going to say it's 55 to 60% of people over 45 do not have Venmo.
I do have Venmo.
Well, see, you're the
I'm the outlier.
Maybe I'm the only one that doesn't. Maybe I'm just old. I don't have Venmo.
Well, the only reason I have it is because
You want people to buy you drinks, and so you run around.
well, that's
with that
part
on
of it. When I'm wearing my drinking bikini.
Buy the groom a drink. Are you the groom? No, but I'll take a drink.
No, but really the only reason I got it is when we got on our cell phone plan this last time, a couple of my kids are on it, and that's how
And
I
you
bill.
want
That's
people to
how
help pay your phone bill.
Well, they pay for their own.
That's how we pay Greg
Yes.
for our portion of the phone bill.
So I Venmo
Maybe
them.
I need to do that.
Yeah.
Greg sends us a Facebook post with a QR code every month
Yeah.
asking for
A drink.
a picture of a
Buy
phone.
me a drink.
No,
and on
it's
that,
like-
no, go ahead and finish.
No, I was just going to say, it's just, with all the things, it's like, come on. Really? And again, it's for a bachelorette party. So
Yeah.
Of course it is.
I don't think I've seen one where it's about somebody turning 21 or being like in a bachelorette party.
Yeah.
Those have to be one of the two acceptable donations.
And anymore, they're probably not even leaving their house anymore. They're probably just sit at home. They're going to just watch Netflix and just collect money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just post it on Facebook. Give me some money.
Yeah.
Buy
I'll
me
go
a
to
drink.
Walmart and get a case of hard cider and sit home and just watch Netflix.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's just, at this point, it's like, really?
Well,
You put it on Facebook, and then it's just open to anybody.
yeah. Well, speaking of being open to anyone, Venmo, the app, I don't understand why its default setting is public. And if you want to send a private, like when I send you guys a phone bill, I mark it private.
Please don't send me a private.
No.
I'm going to be on the record right now. I don't care how much
I'll send
Venmo
you
you
a
send
kernel.
me. You don't send me a private.
But it's so you can set it to private to send requests for money to people. But all these people, I see everybody's. So like Shannon W. paid Laura W. for pizza. And
Why
it's
do you
like,
want- I don't want anybody to see what I'm paying for or
well,
not
yeah,
paying for.
I mean, a lot of them are your wife that I see for piano lessons, and somebody paid Jeff for helping repair the deck and replacing the stairs.
And these are people that you don't know or have
No,
any
I know
connection
these
to.
people.
Oh,
But I mean, they're like, I think it pulled from maybe my Facebook
Probably your
friends.
or your phone contacts, maybe.
Well, a lot of these aren't my phone contacts.
Okay, I don't know.
the hackers are getting all your information right now. So
Yeah,
Yeah, that is kind of weird.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Somebody paid somebody for a hamburger. So it's got a
so,
pig.
so do you think
Oh, I saw that post earlier.
You think
Yeah,
people
they were
are-
asking
who
for
are,
hamburger donation?
we're friends with Hunter Biden keep getting like, oh, Hunter Biden transferred money for a prostitute. Oh, for crack. Oh, Hunter Biden.
There goes the podcast.
Yeah. Oh, here's three naked selfies of Hunter Biden.
We got skates. I don't know what LV is. Rest of vacay.
LV?
LV.
I think that's love. Somebody's
Somebody's
for love.
paying for love.
I think that's illegal in most states.
Somebody paid for Vegas.
Wow.
So, yeah, I know what you're saying, but with the bridal things, oh, that happens a lot.
Ugh, it's like every
Or
time.
turn 21, yeah.
Yeah. Those are like the only two I think I see soliciting donations. I think I'm going to try it though sometime. I'm just going to say, hey, if you got any free cash, I'd love to take it off your hands. Venmo me. I'm just going to try it and see what
Yeah,
happens.
it can't hurt.
No.
Yeah. We'll put that out there. Venmo us for our podcast. Venmo for our podcast.
There we go.
Of course, then they'll say, will you guys make it any better? Probably not.
You have to donate and find out.
Yeah, that's right. But maybe. All right. So let's
I think we should get people to sign up for Patreon to support our podcast. Then they get the special behind the scenes
I was
stuff.
going to say, what do they get extra?
Behind the scenes
My wife
stuff.
said that before. You guys should have, I said, most people will want something extra.
Yeah.
We can't even provide for free usually.
Well, you give we give them the behind the scenes goings on of the podcast.
Us sitting around in our podcast bikinis
And
talking.
maybe we create a special.
They will pay extra to please never let us see that again. Please. I will
will
Venmo
pay- I will
anything
pay.
you want.
Yeah, I mean, or you create special little episodes for the Patreon listeners.
Greg, you should. One of those episodes can be you going through the drive-through.
Yeah, go through the drive-through live with Greg.
I'll put the GoPro on my dash. And,
Meet Greg's imaginary friend today.
he's going to give them an extra nickel for change and see what happens.
Watch. The fun ensues after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll start with the recorded voice on the drive-through screen. You know,
It'll probably go absolutely
Are you
perfect.
going to be using
The
your?
one
Yeah,
They're like, they're lying. They're just making stuff up for this podcast.
and then we'll go to Chick-fil-A and it'll be
Oh,
horrible.
it'll be a disaster.
should try
Put 'em
that
on notice.
sometime. I should do the GoPro and then go through the drive-through.
Maybe that should be episode 1.
You should wear it on a helmet, though.
Yeah.
Big plastic helmet with like a giant.
I've got
the
a
old
hard hat.
camcorder-
I've
The
got a
old
hard hat.
camcorder from like the 80s mounted to it.
That's my GoPro.
That's right. Because we're old, so that's
It'll be duct taped under my chin.
got a big boom mic. I'll be on the other side, putting the boom mic down
Hey,
into
Nick's
the
got one. We can,
down into the drive-through.
yeah, right up to the girl
Yeah.
as she's talking.
Hits her in the head. Don't. Ow! Move that.
You gave me an extra dime. I don't know what to do.
Oh my gosh! All right,
All right. Sorry.
Moving
We got
on.
off on a big tangent
we
there.
did. I don't even know where we're at. Did you finish?
I'm done. Yeah.
What was it about?
Well,
What were you
they were-
rapping about? Venmo.
I don't know.
I think we hijacked your
Something
your
like that.
Venmo.
Like what happened? All
I'll
right.
Venmo you $3 for that
Oh,
for
yeah.
that
Perfect.
interruption.
I get a
Perfect.
discount on the phone bill.
All right. Well, I was listening to a podcast today, and they made a comment about back in the 70s, 80s. I don't know about the 60s. I think it was 70s and 80s. A big when
I strongly remember in
it.
the 70s and 80s. Yes,
But on the back of milk
we didn't
cartons,
care in the 60s.
Nobody cared. On the back of milk cartons, they would put pictures of missing children. I don't know if you ever saw that, or maybe you just are aware of it. I don't know.
I'm aware of it. I mean, I see memes too, like on athletes, like
Yeah.
missing in action, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like for the Bears, they'd put the end
Yeah.
zone missing. Yeah. But they were talking about the missing children that they used to put on the back of milk cartons. And like I said, it was in the 70s and 80s, and then it just stopped. Now, when I was a kid in the 70s and then in the 80s, that was a big deal. They would put those all the time. I mean, it seemed like children were being abducted left and right. Maybe I didn't know of any.
I was a little bit afraid though.
I was too.
It
I
put
was
a little
too as a
fear into me.
kid.
I'm going to wind up on the milk carton.
I was too.
And I figured it'd be. I
Nobody
figured
wants to be on
nobody
the milk
wants
Nobody,
to.
nobody wants to be on the milk carton.
And I figured it'd be the ice cream guy that kidnapped me.
One time when I was young, we were out on vacation and we went down and visited some of my mom's family. My mom and dad they were out doing other stuff, and I went with my aunt, who's about 10 years older than me. So at the time, she's probably about 16, 17, maybe 18. And we were walking back from the park. Well, some guy stopped in a van and he's like, "Hey, I'll give in." And she's like, "Oh yeah, I know him." And I would not get in the car in the van because they were going to give us a ride. I didn't know this guy. They physically picked me up and put me in I was like, freak. I'm like, I'm going to die. No, I can't get in the van. I
Please
can't
put
get in the
this
van.
on the milk carton.
But yeah, so I was freaked out because of that. But I got to thinking, why did they stop? Or did the children, did they quit getting abducted? Or were they ever getting abducted that much? Did they just go missing?
I think it's because the plastic jugs came out and they couldn't figure out a way to put them on the plastic jugs.
Well, they still have the half gallons. Well, no, they do
They're
have
plastic
most
now
plastic.
too. Yeah.
They couldn't just get a sticker and
Well, now you have to
slap
get
it on.
Oh, no.
soy milk now comes in the
Almond
almond milk. Yeah, nobody buys that. So I mean, they would
Lots
just
of
sit
people
there.
buy that, actually. I mean, my wife buys that, and I know a lot of people that buy that. I don't drink it.
I don't.
I don't drink much milk, but
It's always stocked up when I see it in the store.
I do remember sometimes those stupid milk cartons were hard to open though.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's like a cereal.
You could usually open it the first way where it was flat, but then trying to get it to poke
Yeah.
out so it's angled,
Now you got
it
this
fall over. The
hole.
milk pours out onto the floor. You're like, oh jeez. But also,
Then they came out with that like orange juice that's still in the carton, but it's got a screw off cap on one side because people couldn't maneuver
well, that
the
makes
flaps.
sense. Like, hey, let's put a screw on cap. Okay, I can just pour it out. Much
So they
easier.
could still put kids on those.
They could. But I also got to thinking, it's like, when you're a kid, you put out your cereal and your cereal box. You got to read the back of the cereal box. Usually they'd have different things on the back of the cereal box, like little comics or word searches or mazes,
Some trivia
different things.
knowledge or something.
Then you flip the milk carton off. It's like, oh, what a great way to start the day. You could get abducted, raped, and murdered today. Hurry up, honey, you're late for school. Like, I don't want to leave the
Yeah,
house.
it's got the kids' stats on. You could cut them out like baseball cards and have a whole collection.
That is. Now that's too far, Greg. That's awful. Do you have a Bobby McMillan? No, I don't have that one yet. It just came
I got
out.
4 of those.
Yeah, I've got 2 Timmys. I'll trade you 1 Timmy.
Oh, Timmy's been around forever. Poor Timmy. Yeah. This is terrible.
If you got an original Harold.
Oh, my God. Well, there was a misspelling. So everybody wanted the Harold with one R. It's supposed to be two.
First editions and this is bad.
That's terrible. But no, I just kind of think they just kind of disappeared. They didn't really say much about it. But as a kid growing up, yeah, it would freak you out. It did scare you. I was always afraid. It's like some fans are going to pull up and abduct me, and that's it.
Where do they put missing kids now?
Now they just blast them.
Oh, you mean their pictures?
Well, now they just blast on your phone as an Amber Alert.
Oh, yeah. You're like, oh, what happened?
And the big signs on the interstate.
Yeah.
Black Ford Taurus, license plate number, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
I got an Amber Alert on my door ring.
Yeah. So I've got those too.
What, did somebody come
door
up?
Door ring? What the heck was that? My door ring.
My door ring.
My Ring doorbell. It was like at midnight. Boom, I'm like, what is, who? So, because my first thought is like, who's at my door?
Amber.
So I look at like, missing child. Like, in my driveway? Where's this missing child? It was like up in Chicago.
Yeah.
I was like, which is 2.5, 3 hours away from us, depending on what suburb. Why am I getting that? Unless a guy comes down and pulls into my driveway, I am not going to find this kid. I'm sorry. Not going to happen. If he's missing, sometimes it's just, they can't find him. They ran away or whatever. But
I know they used to put criminal pictures in the post office, but did they ever put missing children in the post office?
I think they're just, or
was that just criminals?
They're just criminals.
So that was just the people that were abducting the kids were in the post office.
Well, you're saying it was only the top 10 most wanted. I mean, so it was like the worst of the worst.
Also on your local, just
no, not like, yeah.
The local riffraff. Yeah.
Your local drug dealer or, the guy that's, shoplifting at the Five and Dime or Ben Franklin when we were kids.
They didn't have enough wall space in Florida for all of them.
No. So that's all I had for that. So
yeah. It is curious if that's when it stopped, is when they stopped making milk cartons for milk. I don't know.
So, all right. Well, let's do this. My wife and I were doing some cooking in the kitchen. Yes, I had on my kitchen bikini.
Good.
That's from another episode.
Last week.
Yes. But we were going over doing cooking some different items and looking at some different recipes and doing something. And she said something about throwing, I said, well, how much? I don't know, something like a dash. Or that got me thinking. So I started looking up or thinking about imprecise units of measurements. Do you guys ever do you use some of these or do you?
Oh, yeah.
I've got some. I kind of want us to go over a few maybe and just see if we can hash out what the hierarchy of these are.
Okay.
So I've got a dash.
Yeah.
And a pinch. I think those are similar. Yeah. But which is what? So what are you saying? Which is if I said give me a dash or a pinch of that?
I think a dash is more than a pinch.
What are you saying, Mike? There's not a right or wrong.
What's more?
Yeah.
I would lean towards what Greg, because a pinch just makes it sound like you're supposed to get just a little tiny. A dash might just be your sprinkle, like shaking the jar maybe once or twice.
That's kind of the thought I had too. I think a dash is a little bit more. Another one that people use is a dab or a dollop.
I think of a dollop as bigger. Again, a dab to me is just like a little dot, whereas a dollop is like. Plop.
The word dab has just been ruined for me. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know what's going or can't see, which is everybody but me and Mike. And our Patreon
yes
subscribers.
Yes, it's hard.
They would have got to see Greg do a dab.
Greg just dabbing.
You guys got the audio version of it though.
I'm going to go with. So you said a dollop is more?
Yeah, I think a dollop's more than a dab. In my mind.
This one I can kind of waffle back and forth on.
We weren't talking about waffles.
I know. I would also think probably a dollop, because to me, like a dollop is like a spoonful.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
And a dab might just I don't know, but a dab, that might be 2 spoonfuls. I don't know. A dab will do you. So, but that's what I also
a little
think
dab
of.
will do you. That's right.
That's what I also think of.
Well,
but
even that, I just think of
Real
like
cream.
on my fingertip, and then a dab. So that's, I guess, a dab to me is like a fingertip. Like if you got something that's, you're going to just scoop up. Or, a dollop is more like a spoonful.
A dollop is like a dollop of Daisy. So then I like Daisy sour cream or whatever.
Yeah.
Scoop it out with a spoon. So I'd probably, I'd say dollop is more. Wow, that was a long runaround answer.
I kind of have the I think a dab is a little bit less. Not much. I don't think it's a much.
Just a skosh.
It's funny you should say skosh.
Oh, is that one?
That's the next one on the list. I've got a smidge.
That one just popped in my head.
A smidge and a skosh. And the reason I say skosh because I said skosh, and my wife's like,
I don't know.
What is skosh? I'm like,
I've never
skosh?
heard this one.
You've never heard of skosh?
Mm-mm.
That's a hard one, though. A smidge and a skosh.
Yes, it is.
I know a smidge is like a little bit. In my head, I think of a smidge as you just need a little bit. So I'm going to say skosh. Just the word, when you say it, makes it sound bigger. So I'm going to go with skosh is bigger.
Skosh is bigger than smidge.
I've never heard that one before.
That's a hard one to think. Okay, smidge. What would be
a smidge?
A little smidge.
A finger. That's what I think of for like a finger. Like a fingertip is just a smidge. You just need like a little bit.
Smidge or skosh. Yeah, those are hard.
But like a smidge is like a unit of like length or like distance. Like just scoot it over a smidge. Like bump it over a smidge. Is that how skosh is
move
used?
It over a skosh.
You just needed a skosh?
Yeah, move it a skosh.
Oh, okay.
I think I'll go with you though. I think the smidge is smaller.
It's just the way you say it makes it sound less significant.
Yeah. I think
I kind of tend to agree. I think a smidge is small. What about smidgen? Oh, a smidgen
I actually
or a
had
smidge?
smidgen down.
So now what? Is smidgen I think that's a variation of smidge. So I think that's even smaller than a smidgen.
You think
smidgen is smaller than smidge.
Oh, the longer word, but a smaller measurement. Yeah, it'd be it's like a fraction of a smidge.
Yeah. If you break it down, that's I think how it should be properly broken down. But just in terms of the word, smidgen sounds more to me than a smidge.
Yeah, it sounds like it should
break
be.
It down,
okay, well, I found
a smidge is.
There's the definition. A smidgen is a very small quantity or portion, a bit. And a smidge, a tiny or scarcely detectable amount. So by definition, they're saying a smidge is less than a smidgen.
What about skosh?
What's
I don't know how you spell that.
Skosh. A skosh says a small amount. So a smidge was a very small amount or a tiny amount. So a smidgen was a very small. So it sounds like goes smidge, smidgen, and skosh. This is riveting podcast material. I mean, this all started because my wife and I had a discussion about how much is a skosh, what is a skosh, and what did I mean by a skosh.
This is a heaping helping of goods podcast.
Heaping helping. This is all true.
Skosh to me sounds like a little town in Wisconsin or something.
Skosh. Let's go to skosh.
Yeah, I'm going to go.
So if I say I need you to move that over just a smidge or just a hair, which would a hair be smaller than a smidge?
Hair is very thin.
But it says smidge is a tiny.
Hair is very thin, though.
I think of hair being less than smidge.
I do too.
I'm going to go the other way because smidge, even by definition, says barely detectable.
I'm not trying to listen to the definition though. From my own internalization of the.
Yeah, I still think smidge is less than a hair. A hair is I can figure. I figure I could see a hair. Smidge would just be like just barely. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
I think that would be a hair if I moved it that much.
It might be. So those are all kind of the smaller. And then I got some. Did you have some?
No, those were the three I had.
Okay. I have some a little bit larger or some, and I don't know that I have some that we can just compare necessarily. But if somebody says, give me a bunch of those or a handful of those, how much would you give?
I have a small hand.
Oh, you're talking about
my wife.
Quantities of certain things?
So if I said, hey, give me a bunch of those mints.
Ooh.
See, I always think of bunch like bananas. So
you can only use it for bananas?
Well, that's what I think of is the word bunch is bananas. So then I think,
I will give you 7 bananas worth of that. What? You said a bunch. I always think of bananas.
In my mind, I think, okay, a bunch of bananas is like, I don't know, 5 or 6 bananas. So if you ask for a bunch of those, I might give you 5 or 6.
What if they're Skittles? Can I have a bunch of Skittles?
No,
and
you're
get 5
still
or
only
6?
getting 5 or 6 because that's a bunch.
That is not a bunch.
No more.
That's very few.
That's a smidge of Skittles.
That's all. That's a skosh. That's a skosh of Skittles.
If you ask me to hand you a bunch of mints, I'm going to give you probably, if I took both my hands, you're probably going to get like 10, 12 mints. If I give you a handful, you're probably going to get, like 4 or 5 maybe.
See, no, in my mind, I would have went just the opposite. If you said a bunch, I would have reached in and just grabbed some. A handful, I would have grabbed like a big scoop, heaping handful. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying in my mind,
weird.
that's what I would do.
Yeah, a bunch to me is like 2 handfuls. You like double the amount of 1 handful. I don't know.
Well, yeah, because 1 handful is 1 handful. I mean, it's like you can't put more than 1 handful in your hand. I mean, so it is limited to the size of your hand.
Now, this next one to me is a little contentious, but I'm going to throw it out there because
He's ramping it up here.
A couple or a few. In my mind, a couple is not imprecise.
A couple is 2.
That's exactly. But some people, you say a couple, and they'll just get 4 or 5 or 3 or whatever.
Yeah, no,
they'll
it's
give you
2.
a bunch.
Nope, it's 2, and a few is 3 or more.
But not more than.
I'd
say not more than 5.
Yeah,
a few.
I could go with that.
It's
5 or 6
more
at
than
top.
2, but less than 5. Give me a few.
So
I give you
3 or 4,
3, 4.
Well, what happens
I would
when you
give
get
you 5.
What
I would
happens
give
when
you
you get-
5, but I would not give you 6.
What happens
I
when you get
wouldn't
to
even give
6?
you 5.
Huh?
What happens when you get to 6?
Well, now you're in the bunch
or handful.
or handful.
Handful territory.
Handful to me is over 10. A bunch would be like 5 to 10.
To me, a bunch.
So that falls sort of in line with my banana theory.
Kind of.
Because sometimes a bunch of bananas might have 8 on the bunch.
Well, then I'd have a handful of bananas.
Well, you would.
What about a hunk? Tear me off a hunk of
Hunk
that.
of burning love.
Well, that's a whole nother thing. You may want to see a doctor if it's burning too.
You might.
Just a thought. I don't know.
See, the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of a hunk is those.
Well, let's. Okay. You know where we're going.
We're not talking about, a guy. Remember the candy bars, Chunky? Those are about the size I think of for a hunk.
Weren't they square?
They were square,
Chocolate.
probably
Did they have raisins in them though, too?
inch and a half by an inch and a half. Yeah, they had raisins.
Kind of a disgusting candy.
I never liked them.
I don't know.
But
I don't know.
that's
I
about
think they had peanut and nougat and raisin. Like, what is this?
But that's about the size I think of for a hunk. Is inch and a half square by inch tall.
So I couldn't get a hunk of bananas. You
But it's
have
a
to
hunk
use
and a
that.
chunk.
That's weird.
Ooh, see, a hunk and a chunk.
I've never used hunk as a
Measurement.
unit of measurement. So
Just as some kind of an exotic term for something.
yeah.
See, my wife uses chunk as her exotic term for me. I wish she would drop the C, but I'm working on that. But for now, it's chunk. She's using that kind of like the carrot and a stick, kind of like, dangling it out. You want to lose that C in front? Then, you know what?
Shape up.
How about only one king-size Reese's per day, not the 3 or 4?
Not the bunch.
Not the bunch. Oh, yeah, well, I'll eat a handful of them. How about that? Not just a few or a couple.
So hunk and chunk. So what you hunk?
I think
hunk was your original.
I think hunk, I would say, like, and it would have to be like certain, it would have to be almost be a material. It couldn't be something like you're tearing off a hunk of, bread. You could tear off a hunk of bread that
could.
wasn't cut.
Well, like the Avanis we have locally here.
Yeah, they give you like the French bread or the Italian
kind of
bread.
a hunk. Yeah.
So you could tear off a hunk of that. But if it tear me off a chunk of that, I would think that would be bigger. That would be a big, that'd be like 2 hunks. I think a chunk, is equal to 2 to maybe 3, 2.5 chunk. 2.5 hunks is equivalent to a chunk. If I was going to break it down. I don't know.
And Misha might be thinking 2 hunks. Oh.
She's got a whole nother. I'm equivalent to 2 hunks, but not in a good way. Not the way you would want. Oh, he's like, well, no. I'm kind of 2 hunks. I'm too hunky. All right, just a couple more. Like a roomful. How many people there? A roomful. What is that? A roomful? I've heard people say that. We got a room full of people. Like, well, that's a big. If I'm in,
pretty.
I'm in a big room.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it depends on the size of the room. But if you're using that as a measurement, then what would you use that for? I mean, like,
It would have to be.
how many people were there? A room full.
It would have to be pretty much people or animal. I mean, it's got to be something like that. You wouldn't want to say
Furniture.
I got a room full of bananas. You could have, but that would, or a room full of hunks.
I guess it could be furniture.
See, if you had a room full of hunks, I think you would have less.
That's people.
If you had a room full of chunks, that's less people.
Well, yeah,
There's less.
because
A room full of chunks, you're looking at maybe 8. A room full of hunks, you're probably up to maybe.
well, yeah, because
I mean, you can
the
have a lot
hunks
of
are more fit and
A couple bunches of.
A couple bunches of hunks.
Dang it! I butchered that punchline. Dang it!
It was still funny.
You guys knew where I was going.
I did know where you were going.
a bunch of hunks.
Yeah.
And then if you ever ask somebody, it's like, well, and I'll do this to my wife, and she hates it because I'll ask her, like, we'll go shopping, or she'll come home from shopping and say, "What'd you spend?" I don't know. But I don't understand. You just went. I don't know how you don't know what you spent. I think she does. She doesn't want to tell me. I'm like, well, ballpark it. What do you mean ballpark?
A stadium, or just the local softball field.
To me, ballpark, though, that is a very loose number. If I told you to ballpark a number, let's say like
42.
Well, what if I said, here, we're going to talk about our annual podcast budget. We're going to ballpark it for you guys. So it would be
smidge.
several $1,000s.
A smidge.
We don't have a hunk or a chunk for our podcast budget. I think we got a hair. Or a smidgen. Or smidge.
Yeah. What about a tad?
Yeah.
In the movie Airplane 2, they said in space terms that's 1 or 2 million light years. Because she goes, "We're a tad off course," and the guy goes, "Excuse me, miss, how much is a tad?" And she goes, "Well, in space terms, 1 or 2 million light
I
years."
put tad up there with about equivalent to a dash.
Yeah, a tad.
Maybe a dash and a half. But you're right in that area.
What if it's a
You're in the ballpark of a dash.
What if it's a hunk named Tad?
And he's got a bunch of bananas.
Yeah.
Then I am going to leave that room full of people.
And go to the ballpark.
That is right. So, I don't know. Anyway, that was a whole bunch of nothing. So,
Well, on that same note, I was thinking about phrases too. Like, I actually saw one today that somebody posted. It said, "First come, first served." Wouldn't it always be that way? I mean, would you be first come or second come, third served?
maybe when you're the first one there, and I make you just wait around and see who else shows up. Maybe like the fourth person, I'm like, all right, you first.
So kind of like a McDonald's drive-through.
Well, yeah, there you go. So you debunked your own argument.
My own theory there.
Simple enough.
Theoretically, most things should be first come, first serve. If you're first come, you're first served.
Same kind of a thing as early bird gets the worm.
Yeah.
Same theory, kind of.
Yeah. I guess the first come, first serve isn't always true. I've seen that at hospitals a lot. First one there, you may not be the first one served.
Well, I will give the hospital has to kind of do a triage. If you show up and need stitches and somebody shows up that was in a horrible car accident, I hope that they're getting a great song. I was here first. I demand satisfaction. Pushing the guy off the gurney.
What is this?
Laying up with the guy on the gurney. It's like, come on.
What is this,
here
McDonald's? What do I need my app to work?
Yeah, my hospital app.
Please go sit in the designated chairs in the waiting room for your app.
I can see that's coming probably. You go to the emergency room. Did you fill out the app first?
Yeah.
I can't. My arm's broken in three places.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm over here bleeding out, and Doug's letting everybody go in front of me.
I am. Sorry. First come, first serve, Fred.
I was first.
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know. Did you have other ones?
No,
That was it? One?
that was it.
You had a lot of writing on the paper.
Well,
He
that's
says one
other
thing.
things.
That's all I got. Wow. You have a lot of writing for first come, first serve.
I scribble a lot.
So I
was trying to think of other phrases like that, like you said.
and then not. So I
Yeah, I nothing else. Nothing else popped in mind.
we're really, really pushing for that Patreon. People are like, oh, when can we sign up for the extra stuff?
Hey, for the extra Patreon,
He'll have 2 things.
I will have you will get 2. Yes.
You might get a bunch. Who knows? Who knows how many? Oh my gosh. But anyway, with grammar, I did so horrible in school with grammar, and I hated grammar.
Oh, I did too.
With the spelling and the different phrases. I think we need to streamline our language.
Why would anyone want to diagram a sentence?
My wife loved that. She did. She loved that.
I
always hated it. I'm like, there's lines going off and words. I always ended up with an extra one. Like, I don't know what to do with this. What is this? There's a 2. And the teacher come look. No, this is all wrong.
I think
red pen. She's running out of red ink. She's flipping just one after another. The kids' pens are flying off onto the floor. They're just empty. Just reading Doug's papers.
Yeah. Get done. I think I got a new pronoun.
Before that was a thing.
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea. But it drives me nuts with some of this stuff. You know, and we do these, well, around here, I need to diet. Like I said, I'm a chunk. Maybe a chunk and a half. I may be worth
Maybe you're
3
a
hunks.
chunk and a
I
hunk.
don't know. I'm a hunky chunk. Because that makes me feel better. But they also do road diets now where they get rid of lanes and congest traffic.
I have never heard that term until you said it the other day, and then I heard it on another podcast today.
That's what they've been saying.
A road
on
diet.
A what now?
They call it a road diet. They do that a lot over now in Peoria. They'll take a 4-lane road,
So
and
you
they'll
got a
make
fat
it
road.
2-lane, and then 2 of the lanes are going to be bicycle lanes because, we have so much bicycle traffic. And every time you drive, there's no one in that bicycle lane. Now,
No,
you
because
can't
they're
drive
in the
there.
middle of the road.
You can't drive in it. So we're making that thinner. We're doing, we're scaling down everything. Businesses are scaling down their employees. I think we need to scale down a lot of the English language.
My 401k scaled down quite a bit this last 6 months.
I made a mistake and looked at that the first time since May. Ooh, that was a big red number on there.
Yeah, not good.
Like,
it almost
some
looked
of the
like
papers. I think my teacher was grading my 401k. Like, crap.
Yeah, you're failing. Yes,
I am failing.
Yes, I am.
But I got to looking at some of these there are so many words that mean basically the same thing. I don't know why we need all of these. I don't know why. So
Do you have one?
I have 4. No, I have 1. I did a ton of research. I've been working on this for a week. I've got 1 word.
That
One
means the same
example.
thing as something else.
So like hilarious. Okay, that's hilarious.
Well, that's funny.
Yeah. There were a list of synonyms. There was like 25 and more. So I just picked 3 that sounded kind of the same. So if I said we have hilarious, there's gut busting, uproarious, and side splitting.
Ooh, that hurts.
Now, which would you think would be the funnier of those? If something's hilarious, to me, if something's hilarious, it's not just funny. Like,
It's beyond funny.
we should have called ours. It's hilarious. That makes it okay.
The movie Airplane is hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I just got it. Sorry.
So I don't know. Gut busting, uproarious, and side splitting. To me, side splitting seems like that should be like, oh, you're laughing so hard, you got to go to the hospital almost.
Well, the gut busting's not good either. You busted a gut and split your side.
And uproarious seems really
That seems more like anger.
uproarious.
Uproarious. Rawr.
Well, the
I'm in an
definitions-
uproar.
I'll give you the definition. So I don't have the one for hilarious, but gut busting, entertaining, funny. It seems like that's underselling gut busting, doesn't it? Gut busting sounds like the second definition says very funny, but I'm like, really? That's all right. Uproarious. Its definitions are boisterous, very funny, and hilarious.
Ooh, so hilarious is part of uproarious.
Side splitting. There's 3 definitions: amusing, and amusing pleasing. Side splitting should be the I think the one that is.
It sounds like it. It feels like it.
I don't know. I mean, I think we need to start getting rid of some of these.
Yes, there's
In
too
my
many
opinion.
words for hilarious. But if you get our Patreon, we'll give you the hilarious edition.
Yes. Yeah. See, we're just giving you, it's funny.
yeah, the
there
funny
for the
edition.
free.
And we won't even go to the side splitting.
Or gut busting.
Yeah.
So that was one. And then I got sad. You know,
So that's an
sad.
antonym.
Huh?
That's an antonym.
Well, this is another word.
Oh.
This isn't related to hilarious necessarily. See, some people might say this podcast
Well, I think
is sad.
Greg was trying to go with the grammar route there.
Yeah,
right?
I was breaking it down. Yeah.
So
I did not even know that was a word
What?
until you just said that.
What?
An antonym?
Yeah.
antonym, the opposite synonym is.
Well, I
similar.
got that from
Oh.
Greg's thing, but I feel like I never heard that before.
Really? That would
I
have
know-
been
I
part
knew
of your grammar
synonyms.
classes, I think.
Well, maybe they are trimming down grammar.
Boy, the public
Maybe
schools
we are.
really are.
I don't know.
We're only learning synonyms. What about words that are different? We don't. What words?
Well, I thought
I don't know.
thesaurus
What's the
was
opposite of
I thought oh my gosh, I can't talk. A thesaurus was a dinosaur, so I don't know.
One of the worst dinosaurs, to be honest.
Yes.
So sad. Again, I picked 3 synonyms. I picked somber, glum, and I'm sorry.
Melancholy.
Ooh, I like melancholy, that word.
I do too.
I do like it. It's not listed as one of my synonyms.
Is that like a fruit?
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Melancholy.
Melancholy. It's melon and cauliflower together. It's
That
fruit.
sounds awful.
It's a fruit and
That
a
makes
vegetable.
me sad.
It's a fruit and a vegetable all in one.
So you got sad, and then glum, somber, and melancholy. And out of those 3, I think we could keep melancholy. I think that's the one that is, to me, sounds the worst.
Which one?
Melancholy?
Yeah.
I
See,
would
because
think
my
of
brain's
the-
now on to mixing fruits and vegetables together, so I'm on stroccoli. Sorry.
Well, I think it's the Smashing Pumpkins. I think of their Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. Isn't that
Oh,
an
yeah.
album?
I
That's
was
what I
never a
think
big
of.
Smashing Pumpkins fan.
I think that's them.
Well, I'm melancholy when you smash my pumpkins.
I bet you are. I'd say even somber. I'd give you glum.
Bunch of pumpkins.
Yes, if my pumpkins were smashed, I would probably be a bit melancholy as well.
You'd be uproarious.
Yeah, so melancholy is depressed or sad. So you
Yes,
can
it
get
is.
rid of depressed.
Yeah?
We can take care of 2 words right there with one. Somber, sad, depressing.
So there's 3. You just use there.
But if you were saying, okay, that movie was really, what would it be? Would it be sad or would it be
Melancholy.
Could you say melancholy describing a
could.
movie? That movie.
I have
was-
said that I
It
don't
could
know
say
how many times.
it made me melancholy. But was the movie itself
It could be
melancholy?
depressed and sad. That movie is sad.
Yeah. So sad you could say, but melancholy seems weird with that though.
Okay, you could say glum, which is sullen. Too glum.
Sullen.
Sullen.
Somber. That's a somber movie. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
No, you want to keep sad? It's easier to spell.
sad's easy. Melancholy seems more old English or something, melancholy. Glum.
I have melancholy. All right, let's hit beautiful. There was another word that I had.
Beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful.
That's beautiful.
So I don't know. We could do like some of the synonyms: good looking, handsome. Ooh, bewitching. See, I like that one.
Bewitching.
I'm bewitching. Charming, appealing. There's so many of them that are all about the charming and appealing. Dazzling. I am dazzling.
So if you went to your wife and said you're beautiful or you're bewitching,
She probably would rather not have the bewitching.
Yeah.
Even though that means attractive, you are bewitching.
and here's your broom.
Good looking. Or handsome. Bewitching. I probably have to stick with beautiful, but we can get rid of those other ones. I would never use bewitching.
Striking.
It's very striking. It's a handsome woman. They don't like to be called handsome. I
No.
don't think.
I
They
picture
don't
a
know
woman
why.
with a mustache when you say handsome woman. Well, just a little
Well, I was just going to say, like, more hard features, not like a mustache. Nothing against any of our listeners, whether women who have mustaches. I mean,
No.
but I would not say that. I don't know. A woman with a mustache. All right. Now, could she also classify as a hunk?
Possibly.
Possibly. All right. So, and the last one I had was angry.
Angry.
And for that one, there's tons and tons of words that are similar. So I picked, here's another one. Angry. One of the synonyms for angry, sullen. That was also for sad. Like, we've got way too many words.
There's overlap there. We don't want overlap.
So they had like enraged, exasperated, and outraged. So they have enraged and outraged. So I guess if you're inside, you can be enraged.
Yeah.
See, enraged, it just says furious. You're furious. Outraged is being mad, often extremely mad, sickened and offended, or extremely angry.
What was the other one you said?
Exasperated. Unhappy,
Hmm.
dissatisfied.
Yeah. Exasperated just seems like, I've just had it.
Yeah.
We could get rid of that one.
It doesn't
for
seem-
sure.
it doesn't seem
I
angry.
think we get rid of that.
Yeah, that one doesn't seem angry. I'm never going to say that one for angry again.
Outrage seems like it gets overused a lot
Yeah.
nowadays.
I'm
Everybody's
outraged.
outraged about everything.
Yes, they are.
There's many people outraged about this podcast right now, including me, that Greg only brought one.
One item.
One. For all of the writing.
But it was a gem.
One. It was a gem. So,
And how can that be a gem? I mean, a gem is a piece of jewelry or a stone.
That's a peach, hon.
Yeah. See, we're yeah. So we cross things over like that too. We call things that aren't, that's a gem.
Yeah, that's just another thing now that I've got to try to keep track of.
Yeah.
All these different words.
And
All
when
the
I
definitions,
say-
what they mean.
And when I say it's a gem, how do you know I'm not saying a J-I-M? It could be a hunk.
That's a gem? You're a real gem.
Well, thank you.
Speaking of peaches, my dad always says when somebody asks him how he's doing, he always says just peachy. Well, peachy sounds good, but if it's just
What if you got a
peachy,
rotten
it sounds
peach?
like, I don't know. It sounds like it's disappointing if it's just peachy. Like, well, I'm just peachy. I could be, I don't know. I could be a bunch of bananas. or something.
Depending on his inflection, it could be sarcastic.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
just peachy.
Yeah.
Or somebody say, oh, I'm peachy.
I
And
don't
how
know.
did peachy get to distinguish that? Why
I
not
don't know.
Banana-y.
avocado-y?
Oh, I'm just banana-y.
I'm all bunched up. My bananas.
So, I don't know.
Just peachy.
All right. Well, I got nothing else. That was all. I don't know. It all started from my wife and I having a discussion of how much a skosh was. So
Yeah.
that took me
Well, I
down.
made my one submission, so.
Well, that's something because you said this whole next segment was your idea with about cars. So I'm hoping you got some stuff on
Not
it.
much.
Not much. Everybody's happier now. All the people are like, oh, good. They're almost done. Oh my gosh. Why do we keep listening?
See, that's who would pay for the Patreon version is the ones where we shorten it up and you get a snippet of about, 5 minutes.
The free people have to listen to the hour. If you Patreon, 5 minutes. That's it. In and out.
The highlights.
The highlights. So I think some of the things you said we're going to talk about too is like you had some different ideas, but kind of what spun this or kind of spurned this on is that
Got the wheel spinning.
kind of talking about our cars, automobiles, just in general. Is it better now with the way they are, or was it better back in the day? Let's,
What day?
I don't know. Pick a day.
70s, 80s.
Yeah.
Even
50s,
though, well,
60s.
yeah, because really the 70s had some pretty crappy
Well,
cars. 80s did too.
yeah. Well, we can discuss. We can see which one we like. But
Yeah, we can go there.
all right, go ahead.
So, as far as better or worse now versus then, I kind of so as I was thinking about it, I thought, okay, what were some of the pros of then, and I kind of related it more to sports cars initially. And back in what I call my day, I felt like
Back in my day.
That's right. I felt like the sports cars had a certain cool factor to them. And some of them do now, but I don't know. I felt like, man, we identified so much with our cars, and it kind of could even help gave me that cooler factor.
Well, the car kind of defined who you were.
Yeah.
I mean, it did. It was, we didn't have social media. We didn't have any of that other stuff. So you had your car. That was your identity.
Yeah. Because there's still a lot of the same models of sports cars that were out back then. But yeah, I don't know if it's because it was so much of our identity that it made them cooler, I thought.
I don't feel like there's as many sports cars now as there used to be. I think and that's probably just true in general. Because there was a lot more different makes and models of cars. They've kind of streamlined. They have streamlined the cars down.
Yeah, they have.
A lot of car companies have went out of business or consolidated. So you don't have nearly the variety, the plethora.
Yeah. Now then the other cool thing, especially with sports cars, is the sound of a lot of the cars back then.
Oh,
really,
you can't get
now
that
the newer
rumble.
Ford Mustangs, I think, sound really good. Yeah. Some of the other ones, I don't like hearing it backfire when you let off the gas. I don't
sound like a wind up.
Yeah, yeah. So the sound was there. Now on the negative side, back then, at about 50,000 miles, the thing was rusting out because the undercarriages, the body panels were not made near as good as they are now.
Yeah, and in a couple of weeks, my wife and I are going to be driving down to Atlanta, and I'm taking my car, and it's got 104,000 miles. Back in the 70s, you had a car at 100,000. You didn't think about, I can't leave the Tri-County area.
Oh, and you wouldn't dare.
It's going to break down. I have no idea how far I got to go.
Yeah, and you wouldn't dare buy a car with 100,000 miles on it. Now it's like, it's got 100,000.
You can go 200,000 probably fairly easy.
Yeah. But also on the more current, though, I felt like, I said they had the cool factor back then. I feel like a lot of them now, they just all look the same. They're kind of a generic look about them, especially when you get into the SUVs. They just, to see a Pathfinder, not a Pathfinder, but like what's the Nissan versions? What are those? Is that a Pathfinder?
Well, they also have the Nissan Rogue.
The Rogue and versus the Ford Escape versus the, they all kind of look alike. So as a whole, my vote will be actually, though, the cars are better now because they are built better. They last a lot longer, but they are terribly expensive too.
They are terribly expensive.
I think proportionally for what people made back then versus what they make now, I think the cars cost more now. I think.
And the problem now is your car uses more computer chips than an actual computer does.
Yeah.
There's shortages on those chips because we don't make them here, so we have to wait on whoever, China and whoever else is making the chips, and they're selling cars without. Well, you buy a car for certain functionality now, right? You buy a car for certain tech, and now they're starting to sell. I know Ford has just sold cars without some functions because they can't get the chips in.
Bring it back later. We'll put the chip in for you.
Yeah, and who knows? 6 months, a year later. So I don't know. That's just one other downside of that kind of stuff. But
so even from your era, when did you start driving?
2011, 2010, 2011. When I started driving.
So would you say cars, even now, 12, 10, 11, 12 years later, are better or worse than what you had?
See, when I started driving, I don't think we even had electric cars back then.
No.
If we did, I don't remember.
There was probably a couple. I think Honda made a little.
But outside of the innovation of electric cars, and with some of the other gadgets,
tech on them is.
I don't think I've really had too much experience to say one way or the other.
Yeah,
but
so what's your thought on the then and now?
There's a part of me that the 70s and 80s have had a lot of crap cars.
They did, really but the nostalgia for us.
There's a nostalgia factor of that because I'm thinking when I started driving in the mid 80s, and again I associate a lot of your identity with certain cars that you had, and friends had certain cars and all that. But just like I said, you got to give it to now.
Yeah,
because they'll drive. You can get 200,000 miles in a car.
Yeah, and they're very comfortable.
Yeah, they ride nice. yeah, they have computer chips. They can go out and they can have some major problems, but way more reliable. The tech in them makes it much more convenient to drive. I mean, my first car, I didn't have power steering. I didn't have power brakes. I had an AM radio. I had no power windows, no power. I had no power, nothing. And then
Barely a power engine.
I did have a sunroof that you could open up with black vinyl seats, which ended up being a really bad combination. It was cool at first, I thought, but then yeah. And I think the first year I drove it was one of the hottest summers on record here in Illinois, and it was just brutal. It just baked. The car just baked. You couldn't even touch the seats. It was so hot in there.
Yep.
No air conditioning. I had no nothing. I had heat, a stick shift, and an AM radio.
Yeah, it's funny. My first car I bought was a 1973 Camaro, and it didn't have air conditioning. You open the hood, you could see the ground all the way around the engine.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a 350 sitting right in the middle, nothing around it. It's like you could almost stand in there with it. But, you know, if you wanted to change a water pump, it's like 4 bolts on the front. You pull it off. And
Right. And now the engines are so, in most cars, are so compact in there. You want to do a simple task, it takes way longer to do.
Oh, yeah, and trying to reach back in some of those places. Or, yeah, you got to lay under the car. And, yeah, it's
Well,
great.
I think some of that, too, is they've made them way more safer, too, because they put crumple zones and everything else in there. Before you get in a head-on collision, I mean, you're dead a lot of times. Now you get in a head-on collision, a lot of times people will survive. You look at the car like, oh man, it's like, yeah, they went to the hospital. Maybe they had a broken arm or leg or something, but I was like, how did they even, I don't know how they survive. Because before it would just be awful.
Isn't there so much more plastic now in cars as opposed to the steel?
Yeah.
I mean, there's still obviously steel in the car, but just not.
Yeah. And
Not
those
as much.
crumple zones, though, they're designed to fold over and collapse in on themselves to create a cushion to absorb most of that blow.
Yeah.
So just
Which you're going to
another reason.
need when those autonomous Teslas run into you.
That's true. Or I don't know what you're going to do when the other electric cars out there that are having problems with batteries exploding that you're sitting on. When those things go up, I don't think there's enough airbags in the world that's going to save you from those.
Well, the Tesla, I saw recently a Tesla caught fire, and it took however many tons of gallons of water.
Oh,
just to
yeah.
put out the fire because it kept reigniting.
Yeah, I was
itself.
going to say, and like hours. Yeah, they had to just keep at it.
It's crazy.
But did you have anything?
No, nothing else on that part.
Okay.
So, and I was thinking about, our classic car. We both, and I don't know, Mike has a desire to ever get like a sports car or anything, or if that's something you.
I mean, not particularly. Like, I would say no, mostly because my dad has his prize possession,
Right.
his Firebird,
Yeah.
Trans Am, and all it does is sit in the garage.
It's pristine.
It is pristine. It's
probably worth a lot of money now.
Oh, it is. It is, and that's why it doesn't leave the garage.
It's what, 1970?
71,
71, white with the blue stripes.
Yep.
Nice.
I think it's the 455 even.
Yeah, the HD. Yeah.
So I mean, it sits in there. I mean, he'll take it out maybe once, twice a year, and that's just like down the road and back. Maybe a little cruise around.
Yeah.
Take it to one car show, maybe if he's feeling adventurous.
Bird poops on. He pulls a gun out the window.
Pretty much. I mean, that's it. Like, that's an emergency. Code red right there. So, I feel like if I ever had one, I would fall into the same kind of trap.
Oh, would you?
I'd have it, but I'd be too almost afraid to use it.
Yeah. See,
But
I
that's
want
the
to
point of
model.
having it. But that's the point of having it, right?
Is to
go
drive.
take it out and drive it.
Yeah.
And I would. So, but growing up, I had, I was thinking about the different styles of sports cars, and I was thinking about, I always had an affinity for T-tops. I love T-tops on a car. But I don't know, Doug, you like sports cars? What would hardtop, convertible, sunroof?
I always loved T-tops too. I never had a car with T-tops. I did have a car with a sunroof, and that was cool. I could take the sunroof completely out. Well, I mean, you had to take it out physically, and I would wrap it in a blanket and put it in the trunk. And I've had cars. My car now has a moonroof.
Yeah, ours does too.
And those
Doesn't
are
quite
kind of
work
nice.
properly, but
Those are kind of nice. So
it's a half moon roof.
half moon.
It's not a full moon.
Yeah, one cheek. Just a cheek.
Yeah, waxing.
But no, yeah, T-tops would be, And I don't know why they got rid of T-tops, but they're
I know
gone.
structurally that, but a convertible's not. I mean, that's the whole top's gone.
Well, they have so many different updated safety features anymore. I can't imagine they couldn't come up with something.
Yeah.
Regulations and stuff.
Yeah, because I think I've told the story. I wanted a sports car with T-tops when I was growing up, and my brother would always go, "You don't want T-tops. They leak. Blah blah blah. That's stupid. Why would you want those?" And I was at work one day, and he came to pick me up, and he shows up in a brand new Camaro with T-tops. I was furious at him for like the next week. I'm like, you're like, you shouldn't get T-tops. They're going to leak, blah, blah, blah. And here you show up with them. So I don't know. T-top. Yeah. I've just always had I've been very partial to T-tops.
I've always liked, and kind of along those lines, not that I've ever used a car with these, but the butterfly doors.
Oh yeah.
I've always kind of liked the look of those.
Yeah.
Having those open like that.
They're neat looking. Yeah. Yeah. I would even wear my T-top bikini to drive around in it.
Oh.
I'm not sure what the...
Well, it's like the kitchen bikini from last week.
Oh, it's like topless or something.
Oh, no.
The top pops open. Well, you're celebrating your car.
So anyways, I don't know. That's something. Kind of a jump here. What's the fastest you've ever been in a car?
Like
a little
mile,
over 100.
yeah, mile per hour wise?
Mile per hour, either riding or driving. Or both.
I don't know, probably.
Both.
Over 100. Both. I don't know how far over. Not a lot.
Yeah, I was thinking about 105 to 110 has probably been.
Probably that ballpark. I don't know. Yeah,
A smidge over.
somewhere in there. I don't know.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think driving, I think about 105-ish. The bad thing is I was driving out the country in a car. I should not have been driving that fast because the tires were half bald on it. And it's like the thing, if the tire would have blown, it would have been like, okay, I'm done. Mm-hmm. But fastest I've ever ridden was when Lori got me that ride in the Indy car up at Chicago. That was on a track. I was 180. That's fast.
Moving out.
That's moving.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Okay. What about like worst car you've owned or best car? Do you have anything related to that?
Well, like, what do you mean by best car? I really didn't have I didn't have sports cars.
Well, or even it could be your current car. If you
My
think
favorite car probably was the first car I went to the dealership, picked out, bought, and it's looking back like it's. Well, I loved it. It was a 1985 Chrysler Laser. It looks like a door wedge, but I loved it. It had a spoiler on the back, had a sunroof.
It was black, wasn't it?
Black
I vaguely remember
with
that car.
One red pinstripe, and it was a 4-cylinder, 4-speed with a turbo. I loved it. I loved the car. I just loved that car, and it had electric windows, everything. So I had a Mustang with nothing that got wrecked. I bought a 76 Buick Skyhawk. That was a 2-door hatchback. That was a piece of junk. I got it for $600. Had Kragers jacked up. It was a beast.
It's like, why would somebody put Kragers on that?
It also had a Hearst shifter, which was horrible because it was the pattern on it was so tight you could barely shift. So I took that one. I sold it for a couple $100. I went to the dealership. And I picked out this car. So I went from that to this. The car I had air and cruise. The one that I got rid of was, again, nothing. Had air, cruise, sunroof. It was a turbo. It talked. It had the little. No,
What are you doing, Doug? What are you doing, Doug?
Yeah.
It didn't talk, but it had the little
red flashing light going across the front.
Yeah.
And the center console and between the two front seats, it had a outline of the car, and little things would highlight. If the door opened, the door would open on it, and different. It was like kit car. So I'm like, this is so cool. I love it. So my mom and dad had a car that talked. A door is ajar. Your trunk lid is open. All that stuff. Yeah, they had that.
You left the iron on.
It was a 19.
Garage doors open.
A 1983 Chrysler E-Class.
Did it have the velour seats?
It did.
Ooh.
It was dark brown with tan interior. It was an ugly car. Ugly.
It sounds hideous.
It was hideous, but it was. I mean, it was loaded though, air conditioning, everything. So
yeah, my favorite obviously is my '79 Trans Am. I loved that car. But as far, and that was probably, would I say that was my best car? I mean, you're talking about old versus new. Probably not. I mean, we've got this Taurus we've got now. I like it a lot. I mean, it's fun to drive. I got
a 2016.
So far has been good.
I got a 2016 Buick, and I love that car. It's probably the nicest car I've had as far as just drivability, road trips, comfortable. It's nice.
So I like that. And then I couple of worst cars. I had an 87 Buick Skyhawk. What a piece of junk that thing was. It was just a blue 4-door. I think wasn't the Buick Skyhawk from the mid 80s, sort of like the Chevy Celebrity. They were those square.
I thought they were a little more like the Cavaliers.
Well, true. They probably were
about that.
But yeah, very boxy.
Oh yeah, very boxy, plasticky.
Yeah.
Cheap.
I hated that car. And then then after that, right before I started the job I'm on now, I had a beater of a 79 Ford F-150. And, the guy had replaced the motor. I bought it for $700. The guy had replaced the motor in it, and he got the motor out of a Mustang. And so there was a 350 or 305, I guess probably was what the Ford version was, maybe, or 351, I forget. But he also took the floor shifter from the Mustang and put it on the floor of the truck. And then also to start it, you had to turn the key on and push a button on the dash and it wasn't push button start like we have now. It's like turn the key on, push the button, The thing was a beast. But you know what? It drove really well. I mean,
there's something about when you buy a beater car or truck like that, it's like, it's a beater. It's fine. I'm going to just go with it.
I wanted a pickup truck at the time, and I didn't have the money to buy whatever they were going for at that time. $700. I had this beater, and I could haul stuff with it. I'm like, okay. So, yeah. And then you were talking about your parents' car. My mom and dad we had a couple of okay cars growing up, but the last one we had before my dad passed away was a 1972 Chevrolet Kingswood Estate wagon. Wood grain on the side. Nice. I mean, and that's what I got to drive at first when I got my license was the Kingswood Estate. But then Dad bought a 74 Vega GT. It was orange. That one, even though the Vegas were a piece of junk, that one wasn't bad because it was a GT. It was a 4-speed. It was actually kind of fun to drive. It looked like a mini version of a Camaro. Again, they weren't made any good, so they didn't last all that long. But it was a fun thing, to drive. And then to go get my driver's license, my brother had a brand new 1976 bright orange Trans Am. And he let me take that to get my license.
Wow. Nice.
And he went, he rode with me, but then he goes in and the lady comes out to get in the car with me to go for the drive. And she's like, holy cow. She goes, you get to drive this? I go, well, it's my brother's. But
nice.
I remember leaving our neighborhood to go to the driving place. And it's like, I'm going like super fast and feels like, you can slow down a little bit. And I'm like, I'm only doing 30 and he goes, or whatever, 20 or whatever. He goes, you're looking at the tack.
Yeah.
The tachometer. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, great. So
on the way to the driving test.
Yeah. On the way, it's like, okay, this is going to be real good. All right. Let's get to the last thing, the worst and best car names.
All right. I got a list of them. So go ahead.
Okay. So,
Mike, you have any car names that you can think of that good or bad?
Are we talking like model names, right?
Yeah. Not like the whole brand, obviously, but yeah, models.
The car may be a good car or a piece of crap car,
right?
But the name itself is what.
I've always liked for whatever reason, just the name alone of the Lamborghini Aventador.
Ooh, yeah.
I've always liked the name. And it's a pretty cool car.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
a Lamborghini.
yeah.
But just that name always, in my head is just like,
yeah.
I had a Lamborghini, Countach.
Yeah.
But the Diablo.
The Diablo.
Diablo.
Right up there with it.
Diablo. It's like,
yeah. So for best names, I stayed domestic. It's funny as I started thinking about it, only one company I thought had cool names, and that's Dodge. They got the Viper.
Yep.
They had the Challenger and the Demon. Yep. I mean, it's the like, Hellcat. Those are, Hellcat. Those are great names. I'm like, I'm like, what's a Camaro? I mean, I'm like, what is it? So I actually looked it up. I'm like, what is a Camaro? Let me see here. Not another
Well,
app.
you're doing at Plymouth also. They had the Plymouth Roadrunner. That was a good name. I like that.
Yeah,
one.
the Roadrunner.
Was that the one with the fin in the back?
Well, they had
That was a Super B.
Well, they had a Roadrunner. They had the
Wasn't it
Super
bright
B,
green?
and then they had a Roadrunner with a big fin as well.
Okay.
They also had, and these are just names because the cars, the Dodge Magnum, which was not a great car.
We had a Magnum.
The Dodge Magnum. Then Dodge made a little bitty pickup truck. It was kind of like a car truck kind of, but it was the Dodge Rampage. It's like, it sounds cool, and if you go out to get it, it's like, this is a piece of crap.
Yeah.
But it was a great name.
Yeah. So yeah, back to, I was wanting to pick a Chevy, I'm like, cause I was always kind of a Chevy or Pontiac fan. And I was trying to like cool names. Well, Camaro. Well, it's Camaro in the French English dictionary is translated to friend or comrade. And it's like, that's not a cool thing. Yeah. And then, so I thought,
Your car is my car.
I'm like, okay, what about Corvette? What does Corvette mean? A small warship designed for convoy escort duty.
See, I have Corvette, but I have the Corvette Stingray.
Yeah, the Stingray is cool. They made a Mako Corvette too. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I had
Firebird.
Viper Challenger. Yeah, Firebird.
Firebird's that's a great
That would have been
name.
good. Yeah. And I think the Trans Am was based off the Trans Am racing circuit.
I had the Ford Mustang. That's kind of a cool. The Mustang is
that one's fairly
it's
iconic.
Tough horse. The
Yeah.
Mustang is usually the fast, tough horse.
Yeah, I was thinking through those, and it's like, but I thought overall Dodge had it hands down though.
There was hands down. There was a couple other ones I had. Like Mercury. It was an older car, but it was the Marauder. It was.
I remember the Marauder,
but it wasn't a great looking car. But it was a great name.
They made a newer version of that was based off the Ford Crown Victoria back in like the 90s.
I remember
it was horrible looking.
Yep. And then the Buick Roadmaster. That sounds cool.
I remember the Roadmaster.
But it's just a giant car. I also had the Cobra, the AC Cobra.
Cobra's good. I like that.
Name.
Yeah, Cobra.
And then another car, not a fan of it, the AMC Javelin. Like, okay, it wasn't bad. It's not terrible. It's kind of it's a javelin. It's a spear or something.
And it's a sibling, the Pacer.
Yeah, the Pacer. So that's all I had for good ones.
Yeah, that's for good ones. That's all I
kind of
had.
like GMC's recent line of like I like how they named the Yukon, Denali, and Sierra.
Yeah.
I kind of like those. Just kind of like nods to mountain ranges and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I like that. Buick. I can't. Well, that'd be GMC.
That's GMC.
Yeah, it'd be GMC. I'm trying to think. I can't think what. Did they have cars? They've had SUVs.
Yeah, I don't
I just
know
kinda like
the
their name.
actual GMC car.
Yeah.
GMC trucks and vans and
Yeah.
I
Maybe
just
that's not- I
I
think
kind of
that's
like
what they were.
the
Yeah.
naming convention there.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was
Kind of a
really
family of yeah.
Yeah.
So some bad names.
Go ahead.
I have, this would be a fun one. The Dodge Swinger.
Hey.
So the Dodge had the Viper, but we also had the Swinger.
Yeah.
And then there's
Wasn't there a Stingray, a Dodge Stingray too, or am I imagining?
well, the Corvette Stingray, but
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know
but
the Dodge Stingray.
they could
Well,
be.
they been.
And there's
that's
there's a what's the new one? Is it newer? Is it a Kia Stringer or a
Well, Kia Sorento.
no? There's they have like a sporty sedan. I think it's called like a Stringer or something. It's pretty sharp actually. But another bad one, Gremlin. So we're naming our car to be bad.
Yeah, it's like
that's
whenever
what I
something
had that
doesn't
one.
work, you're like, oh, it's got a gremlin in it. It falls apart. It doesn't work. It breaks. It's the gremlin. Yeah, we're gonna name ours the gremlin.
And that one always looked aptly named to me.
Yeah.
And like you look at it and you're like, yeah.
it's a piece of crap.
That fits. And then I got thinking about one I've got sitting out in front of my house right now, a Freestyle. What is a Freestyle? And you see what the car looks like. It's like a station wagon.
Yeah.
It's like Freestyle. And then this is not only, the name is kind of stupid, but probably really close to the ugliest car ever made, the Pontiac Aztek.
That is an ugly car.
I mean, an Aztek too.
It's got that weird angle in the back, like it's like a trapezoid almost or something. It's like what?
Oh, is that the Breaking Bad car?
I don't know. It's like an SUV kind of, and
Yeah,
they were like bright. They'd make a bright yellow or this burnt orange
with gray on the bottom.
And didn't the back come back, and instead of going like squared off or something, be like a kind of this way and then another angle down,
trapezoidal.
It was weird. It was a weird design.
And then I had a couple of questionable ones. Okay, you got the Jeeps. You got the girls that drive the Wranglers, but the other one I drive for work, a Patriot. I mean, what's that supposed to mean? I mean.
Well, you're patriotic. I'm a
for
patriot.
Driving that Jeep, the one I'm driving.
I guess Greg's a communist, so there we go.
The Jeep Comrade.
Yeah.
Comrade. The Jeep Swinger. Hey.
Ford had an Aspire. It aspired to be a better car.
Yes, it did. But didn't ever make it.
And
but
it should have been probably called Perspire.
Yeah.
And my last one, I just have a question. Is this a good name or a bad name? The Porsche Boxster. Porsche, I guess. Boxster. Does that sound like a good name or a bad name?
It doesn't make me think of a sports car.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little two-seater convertible usually, and they're sharpish. I mean, they were definitely lower end Porsche, but is it Porsche or Porsche? Or Porsche?
I say Porsche.
I say Porsche, but it's
I've heard both.
Porsche.
So, I don't know. Boxster. I was trying to think, do I like that or not? If I'm thinking sports car, convertible top, Boxster.
I'm not sure.
It's got the word box in it.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't make me think of a nice looking car.
Yeah, I don't know. That one just popped in my head. So that's pretty much it on my worst car list.
You got anything, Mike?
I had the Gremlin was at the top of my list, but also along the same, kind of along the same lines, the Ford Pinto.
Oh yeah, I had that on my list.
Yeah,
even though it's supposed to be the pony of the Mustangs, and
right?
The whole theme of horses.
Those are my two, probably the most, just obnoxious. And it was a Kia Stinger.
Stinger. Those are sharp. Yeah. They're fast, too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I had a few. I had the Ford Probe. It's horrible.
Yeah, the Probe.
If you bought that, it's
UFO looking.
Yeah, because if you buy it, they're like, you took it in the rear end. So we're just going to call it the Probe. And it was shaped like a big wedge. It was an ugly, ugly, ugly car.
Oh, what are you driving? Probe.
Yeah. How about
I'm driving the Probe.
The Volkswagen Thing. It's the Thing.
Oh, I remember the Thing.
The Thing.
Yeah. It was kind of like a dune buggy.
Kind of, but it was a little boxier than that.
Yeah.
Or it looked like a surplus army vehicle. Yeah. They took the top off. It was very strange.
Yeah. They were popular in the 70s, though.
And then the Ford Fiesta.
Yeah.
You're never having a fun time in something called the Ford Fiesta.
No, you weren't.
Fiesta. Oh, it's a party. You're not having a party in that car.
Do they still make those? I mean, I know Ford is going away from cars in general, but in the last batch of cars they made, didn't they still make the little Fiesta?
Not, I mean, within the last, 10 years.
Yeah,
10 years, but.
I got two Chevys. The Chevy Celebrity, which no celebrity would ever drive. So why it's like, I drive a Celebrity.
Remember the Chevy Citation?
That was my.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go right ahead. That's fine. Yeah, the Citation.
You're going to get a ticket in this.
Well, a citation could be good. You get a citation for a good.
Yeah, that's true.
Or a cop could just write it out. What's this ticket for? For driving a piece of crap car. You own this thing. This is a piece of junk. Yeah. How about a Subaru Brat?
Oh, yeah. Actually, a Brat.
It's a car truck. It's a half car, half truck. It was butt ugly.
We cleaned one of those at the detail shop one time. It had seats mounted in the bed, like right up against the cab.
I've
so you're
seen
sitting outside in seats that are attached to the bed.
It wasn't like people. I mean, I think it was an option that you could put the seats in it because I've seen those driving around.
And you could also get it with T-tops. Look up Subaru Brat. Yeah, and you could get them with T-tops.
And the last one that I had
was a little truck.
And the car itself was fine. My dad actually had one of these. But the Plymouth Duster. That's we got the Plymouth vacuum cleaner, the Plymouth Duster. It's our ladies' models. So they identify with it. They're not intimidated by these cars.
It's over there next to the iron and skillet.
Yes.
The Dodge skillet.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. The little seats in the back.
Yeah.
So that was it.
So you can eject people out while you're driving. You bounce over a big bump. Boom. There they go.
All right. So we're running long here. All right.
I didn't think we would. I'm sorry, rambling.
No, that's all right. It's fine. All right, I'm going to get into the last thing here.
Yeah.
This is one of our favorite restaurants, McDonald's. This is from the New York Post. It said a woman climbs, and they have a video and a picture. Woman climbs into McDonald's drive-thru to cook her own meal. Says sometimes people go to desperate lengths to get their hands on burgers and fries. A woman in a now viral TikTok video. She wasn't doing the video. Like an employee got their phone out and did it. Because I thought, oh, this has got to be a TikTok. You know, she did it on purpose.
Yeah, set up.
Now, says she climbed through the McDonald's drive-thru window to get to the kitchen so she could cook the food herself. And I was like, why is she doing this? It said here that the clip posted by the user said that because the fast food employees ran out of gloves, they could no longer make food due to sanitary concerns. Have you ever seen a McDonald's person wear gloves?
No.
Or have general sanitary concerns?
She asked the manager permission to begin her first day of training so she could make her own order. Climbed through the window.
So she just left her car sitting there.
Sitting at the drive-thru. Well, apparently, who
See,
are you gonna
I
stop?
would be behind that.
Well, they're not making any food for anybody.
That's true. They would have shut you off at the drive-thru.
Wouldn't you think that?
There, I would think there'd be a cone out.
So the clip then transitions to her entering the kitchen, complete with an outfit consisting of dress and heels, as she gets excited to learn the restaurant chain's process. And she goes through, and there's no footage of her actually cooking. It says, did she get her Mickey D's or what? Others were glad. So there's no footage of her actually doing it. She was in there. She's saying, all right, let's do it. And apparently she did cook her own food, and because they ran out of gloves and couldn't cook the food. That was my first thought, Mike, though, is have you ever been to a McDonald's?
Right.
None of them have any sanitary conditions. They're always a mess, a disaster.
Yeah. It throws me back to the guy that was sweeping the table with the broom.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that got me to dovetail on the one other thing. I went to a deli Sunday night about 5 o'clock. It says they're open till 8 because I wanted to get some deli meat for lunch this week. So I walked back there. Lights are off. Woman behind the counter, like wrapping up meat or something. The lights are off, but she's back there. Sometimes they will have some of the lights off.
Right.
So I go up there and stand, and she just looked at me, and then I just kept standing there. And she looked again. And she goes, "We're closed." I'm like, "What?" "Yep, sorry, we're closed." I'm like, "You're supposed to be open until 8. We don't have anybody at work." I'm like, "You got to be." So
well, what are you doing?
That was at Walmart. So I look online. Kroger's Deli's open till 8. I'll go there. I go. Lights are on. Good. I see a guy. He's over in the seafood section of the deli, kind of that meat section, but there's people back there. Great. I walk back. I get right up to where the deli is. I kind of turn to look. On the deli, a big piece of paper, handwritten note, due to staffing shortages, our deli is closed.
It's crazy.
My wife went to Jimmy John's this week to get a turkey tom. That's her favorite sandwich from Jimmy John's. Pulls up there, or she's trying to find out. She calls him, says, "Yeah, I want to order a turkey tom to pick up."
Right.
The guy's like, "There's a turkey shortage. We don't have turkey sandwiches anymore." She's like, "You have got to be kidding me!" Like, nope. She looks online because she only gets a half hour for lunch. She's like, "Oh, okay. Where can I? Dairy Queen. I'll get a hot dog." Fine, I'll just grab a hot dog. Looks on their menu, they got it. She's like, "Great. There's nothing you can order online." She whips into the Dairy Queen. Somebody comes on the speaker. "Can I help you?" She goes, "Yeah, I'd like a hot dog. We don't serve those anymore." She goes, "It's on your menu." It's like, "Sorry, we're out. We don't serve hot dogs anymore." So, yeah, nobody wants to work. I'm going to have to start learning. I'm going to have to learn how to cut my own meat, make furniture, make candles. I'm going to have to learn all this stuff just because nobody wants to do anything.
Nope.
I'm going to get a meat slicer, buy meat in bulk, slice it up. It's ridiculous.
It is nuts. I mean,
What I don't
drives me
understand
nuts.
is how can people not afford to work now?
I'm doing something wrong.
I know.
That's it. I don't know what it is, but I'm doing something wrong.
I don't know. We were at Avani's at local, talking about the bread earlier, local Italian restaurant. We were there night before last, and they literally had 2 gals running the whole front end of the restaurant.
They did not have a room full of people.
They had quite a few people there.
A bunch?
And, and I got to say, yeah, it was a bunch.
Did you ask for a hunk of bread?
It was less than a ballpark.
Oh.
But I got to say, though, the 2 gals did a fantastic job. They were super nice. So I can't complain about it.
You were not outraged.
I was not outraged.
Or melancholy.
I wasn't sad.
Or melancholy.
But it wasn't hilarious either. It was good. So, but we were at Moe's down in East Peoria a couple weeks ago, another little Mexican fast foody type place. Mm-hmm. And they closed at 8. And I think Lori and I got there about 7:30. So we were on the tail end of the night. They waited on us fine and everything. It took a little bit to get through the line, get our order. It's probably about, I don't know, 7:45 by the time we sat down and we got our food and drinks and everything together. Mm-hmm. And about 5 minutes later, the guy comes up. We're closing in about 5 to 10 minutes, and you're going to go out. You're going to leave. And it's like,
you closed at 8.
Yeah,
not at 7:50.
No. We're closing up. We're locking the doors up pretty soon. You're going to have to leave. And he actually said that you got to leave. I mean, you go to like Culver's here in town, and if they're closing at 9,
if you get in before 10,
yeah. They'll let you sit there while they're cleaning and stuff. They won't make you leave. Yeah, I mean, but no, you got to go. So we had to go sit outside. They had tables outside, so we went and just sat out there and ate. But
should have complained. Go on the app, and it'll just keep taking you to the, do you want to order?
I could have yelped them.
You could have yelped them.
Bad review.
Yep. All right. Well, I got nothing else.
I'm good.
See, when I worked in food, when I worked in food too, I mean, we technically, at our pizza place that I worked at, we closed at 9:30, like on Fridays and Saturdays, which was fine for a pizza place. That's actually pretty early, in my opinion.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Now, it would take us a little bit to clean and close all the stuff after we had technically closed at 9:30. So I'd get out of there like 9:45 or 10, just depending on how busy we were.
Right.
But, I mean, if a ticket came through at like 8:45, 9 o'clock. Some of the people I'd worked, and this was like, high school, college job. Some of the other people in there I'd worked with thought it was like the end of the world. Their entire world was over if one order came in, an hour before we closed. It's like, what do you expect?
Yeah.
What do you expect?
We're still open.
Just because we have an hour to close doesn't mean, people can't order food. It's like, I don't know what to tell you. So, anyway, I don't know. It's just sad.
Yeah. Make the pizza and shut up.
Seriously, it's been a long time since I've been there, but it's like, come on.
Yep.
So what's the so if you were open till 9:30, would you not cook pizzas up until 9:30 then?
No, the oven was on until 9:30. I mean, at 9:30.
I don't want to say you didn't say where you worked at, right? You just said a pizza place.
Well, just a local pizza place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I have called that exact pizza place before, and I was told, "Oh, I'm sorry." Even though they're open, we stopped making pizzas it was like 45 minutes before they actually closed.
Wow.
Yeah, that's because the managerial changes have occurred.
Okay. Because we've asked before, it's like, how late are you open? And they'd say like 8, but we stopped taking pizza orders at like 7:20.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, then just close.
Well, then say you're closed at 7:30 then, or whatever.
The manager I worked for, he went on to start his own shop, his own restaurant. Okay. See, he did it the right way. And I mean, as an employee, I am paid to be here until a certain time, to do a certain set of tasks, to accomplish whatever, serve customers as they order. So as he was manager and as it should have been run, the oven was on until 9:30, until we're done, we're closing. 9:31, oven shuts off, whatever. You finish whatever else you got to do.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, 9:29, somebody orders, you're making their order. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, yeah, I mean, you pull out a few ingredients and put it on, and I mean, it's not like you gotta take everything back out.
I know. The people crying, oh my gosh, my night's ruined. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're paid to be here to do a certain set of tasks.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Anyway.
I agree with you. I was saying I worked food years and years ago. It was the same way. And sometimes it was. Sometimes on a Friday night, you're like, I think we're going to get out of here early, and you shut certain things down. You start doing some cleaning. And one time, a bus pulled up like 30 minutes before we're supposed to leave. I'm like, no, I had to get and fire the fryers back up. I already had them cleaned. I'm like, oh my gosh, no. Well, my Friday's over. It's done. I'm just like, I'm cooking now. We're just cooking and cleaning.
One of the best things I've ever seen is I worked at Hardee's as my first full-time, or part-time job. I had done other things like newspapers and detasseling and stuff like that, but Hardee's was my first job. And we were there one night, like you're saying, and we're getting close to closing. and a bus pulled in, just like you're talking about. Now, this was back in the day when we cooked the burgers on the grill. I mean, they actually had the grates, and we just started throwing patties, covered both sides. The bus pulls up. Everybody got out, came in, bus drove around. They walked through the front, got back on the bus, and left. Didn't order a single. And we've got all these. What are they doing? There was a girl that worked there that got in a beef with the manager, and he fired her. So to get back at him, that's what she did.
Oh.
So she actually went to the trouble of getting a school bus to come through. Everybody got off, walked through the front of the restaurant, out the other door.
Are you that just like, it's a part-time job, just let it go, right?
Yeah.
Well, we ruined a lot of hamburger meat that night.
You're making a quadruple burger to take home.
Well, yeah, we had 2 grills covered.
Oh my God.
So yeah, that was hilarious. Not so much for the manager.
No.
A lot of waste that night.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, on that note, I think we're done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got anything else? All right. Hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. We do appreciate it. Almost through July. Can't believe it.
Yes.
Have a great week. Relax, laugh a little bit, and we hope you're tuning in 7 days. Until then, see ya.
Laugh a skosh.
A skosh.
Okay.
Laugh a skosh. Maybe a smidgen.
All right.
Well, that wraps up another episode. Thanks for listening. Please be sure to subscribe, and you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
This week on RVER, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm sorry, I can't operate on that vehicle.
But doctor, you took an oath.
That RV, it's my son's RV.
Oh, doctor, isn't there anything you can
I'm not a miracle worker, Sheila. I'm an RV surgeon, trained to save the lives of large injured recreational vehicles, which is definitely a real profession.
When your RV really needs saving, Progressive has you covered. See if you could save with a leader in RV insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, covered subject to policy terms.